Stu and Dave Do America present Howie Mandel versus Aging.
You just celebrated 70 years.
Yes.
You're 70 years old.
Yes, I'm 70.
How's it feel?
How does
make any sense?
What do you mean it
You look
doesn't make
great.
any sense?
Because you
I look great? That
Yes.
doesn't mean anything
No,
to me.
it
means-
does.
No. I don't like that because that's a caveat. When you say because you tell somebody you're 70 and they go, you
No,
look great.
We're not saying you look great for 70.
Yes, you are,
look
without
great.
saying
No,
70.
We're saying
I'm saying
you
that.
look great.
I am saying
and
that.
I don't believe you're 70.
No, I'm saying,
No,
I'm saying,
it's like saying you're smart for a stupid person.
yeah.
Wow, that turned ugly. I think they were trying to compliment him. Howie's a little testy.
They were. He's been obsessively washing his hands in the fountain of youth, and he doesn't want them to know. Anybody who shaves their head completely and just has a goatee looks young. That's how that works.
Oh, really? Is that a hack?
I think it's a hack. If you look at that, what was that movie with John Travolta, To Paris with Love? I'm sure I'm the only one who's seen that. But that's an example to the 4 other people that saw that movie.
Wow, thank you for broadening our audience because we only had the 2 people here before, but now 4 people can relate to us. I appreciate that.
It matters.
We have so much coming up today. I am live in Washington, D.C. Dave is in Detroit, so there's a 80% chance one of us gets murdered during the broadcast. We will see how that goes. But before that, hopefully we can make it through the fall of the Southern Poverty Law Center. Welcome to Stu and Dave Do America. I'm Stu Burguiere, and I'm along with, of course, Dave Landau.
Hello, ahoy, and we meet again. Those are the words. That's it.
In that order, every time. It's been consistent in every episode. I'm in D.C. today, Dave in Detroit. We're here in D.C. launching, sort of soft launching Predictable, the new show that I'm going to be doing every day. It's going to be covering prediction markets and the elections. I think you're really going to like it. So later on today, you can go to our YouTube page, which is, if you search for Predictable Show, or just go to predictableshow.com. You can get there and check that out. It's going to be coming up later tonight. Some really cool stuff I want to get into. And got a kind of a cool announcement for tomorrow's show as well. So lots of good stuff I want to get to. But I couldn't believe this story as I was watching this last night. You know, the SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center, I don't know, Dave, if you've ever had to deal with them. I mean, you've maybe have been able to avoid some of this just because you're in comedy and you don't have to necessarily deal with all these people. But unfortunately, you're also not an insane liberal, so you're probably on one of their hate lists somewhere, I'm sure. They make these hate lists of people, normal people who just don't like high taxes. And they get on these hate lists for the Southern Poverty Law Center, and it ruins their business, their lives, their careers.
Well, unless you were selling tiki torches for January 6th to the Southern Poverty Law Center so they could set all of this up, because only them and Margaritaville are the places that are buying those instruments.
That's true. That's the only market, is Charlottesville and Margaritaville. If they had a Margaritaville in Charlottesville, I mean, they could build a factory for these things.
Booming. Business is booming. I think genuinely, if you are a liberal, you should be angry at a story like this, knowing how everything has been astroturfed. Now it's just being proven to you. Because I always said, I think somebody's doing it. Obviously, it could be somebody on the left, but somebody's making things worse than it actually is, or bigger than they actually are. It's like if Andrew McCarthy, never mind. But I didn't want to make that.
We were halfway down an analogy that only 2 people were going to get, not the full 4.
I stopped for the full 4. But realistically, this just proves everything that I think. I wish that in the last 6 years, I've been called a racist so many times for the programming I've been on. If I had actually been racist, I might be a multi-millionaire right now.
Yeah, this is the path to wealth and riches. Let me walk people through the story if they don't know it, because it's been breaking only over the last 24 hours. DOJ is charging the Southern Poverty Law Center, this group that has been used by media and think tanks and everybody around on the left, to basically give you a list of the people who are bad and racist and hateful and terrorists. Like, that's basically what they've done over this time. They are a very highly respected group, has been working with the government for a very long time, apparently more than we knew. They over these paid informants. Now, to give you kind of an outline of the story, the SPLC secretly funneled about $3 million. This is not like $10,500 payments here and there. $3 million of the funds that were given to them by donors to a bunch of groups. And some classics in here, Dave. Let me read the list for you. The KKK.
Oh,
they're paying the KKK.
They're a throwback. They funded the Klan. The Klan, well, basically the Klan would be dead without them. The Klan is really just NPR if the N didn't stand for national.
That is basically what it's become, isn't it? That's it's sad to hear.
It is. It's amazing. But it is one of the things that so just so you know, in order to have an enemy, they were funding to build an enemy that was pretty much already gone.
Right. This is what's the key point is, Dave. You've hit on, I think, the most crucial part of this is why they were doing it. Let me give the rest of these parties. We got the American Nazi Party.
They also went away. It was sometimes when a guy shot himself in a bunker is when that ended.
Yes.
And somebody else brought it back.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, the American Nazi Party, obviously, like the Nazi Party's gone away. The American Nazi Party formed. They had another one of their leaders, assassinated at some point. I think in the 60s, I think it was. I mean, it's been a long time since they've really made an impact in this country, but we're supposed to believe that they are driving this big racist right-wing movement, which again, I have literally no idea what Nazis have to do with the right wing or the conservative movement. Conservatives, to be clear, want to make your government smaller and get out of your life more. That is not the plan of the Nazis. They actually wanted to be very involved in your life until they ended it.
It was actually, yes, it was. Well, the word socialist is in the acronym Nazi.
Yes.
It's not just a slur. It actually goes completely against capitalism.
Yes, it's the opposite of what we want in every single way. Okay, so that's just two of the groups. Then we have the Aryan Nation. Again, another group I thought was wrong. Then
It's also kind of a fluffed up Nazi, isn't it, though? Isn't that sort of, it's sort of the same thing, but they just didn't know, they didn't want to write the same check over and over again.
Yes, agreed. Then you've got the United Klans of America. Apparently multiple, this isn't the Ku Klux, this is the United Klans. There's a bunch of Klan groups that were disagreeing for a period there, Dave. And then they were just like, we got to get together.
This is the Klans Across America group, where they all held hands and saying they could make the world a better place.
They all had their hands on each other's hoods next to it. That would be nice. We'll have to make AI pop that one up. Unite the Right, which you remember, those are the people that created the Charlottesville rally, which is a huge part here. National Alliance, National Socialist Movement. This one I thought you'd appreciate, Dave. The Sadistic Souls Motorcycle Club. I was unaware that was a thing. Have you ever been to a meeting?
Well, I think you've seen me, of course, wear the patch on my leather vest.
Yes.
I mean, if there's one thing I love, it's riding my motorcycle to and fro.
Yes.
So, I didn't even know that was a group, and I've heard of a lot of motorcycle clubs. There's several in Detroit that I've actually know. Never heard of that one.
Yeah, it feels like, too, one of those situations like that famous meme that goes around from that British sketch where, it's like they're looking at the skulls on their uniforms, like, are we the baddies here? Are we the bad? If it's Sadistic Souls is in the title of your organization, right, perhaps you're on the wrong side of things.
Right. The Hells Angels have the word angel in their title. There's a good and bad. There's a yin and yang. Sadistic Souls is not. it's a sad attempt at being something like a Hell's Angels, but not quite getting what they do.
Yeah, that's kind of where this went. SPLC paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to the Unite the Right rally. These are the people that organized the deadly, they call it the Charlottesville rally. Now, of course, there was a death there, tragic death. There's no, I have no affinity for that rally. The tiki torches, the chants, the running people over, all that stuff's terrible. I, again, don't see how it has anything to do with the right. I don't think it's the right. They didn't unite the right. This is something that is absolutely to the opposite side to me.
Well, according to this, you'd be absolutely right about that, because it turns out it was funded by a leftist organization for optics.
Yeah, amazing. $500,000 to one group, more than $270,000 to the Unite the Right rally. And you kind of go through this. The DOJ has all their tweets out here. They have this investigation, paid $1 million to the National Alliance affiliate, $300,000 to Aryan nations. I mean, again, Aryan nations, I don't know anything about Aryan nations other than they're bad. But like, is their budget over $300,000? Like, it has to be every dollar they collected.
Isn't it just Germany, though? I don't understand what that. I mean, I realize it's essentially just saying it's a blonde hair, blue-eyed. That's it, right?
I guess.
Isn't that essentially what an Aryan would be?
My subscription to the magazine lapsed, so I don't know what they're up to these days.
Well, I still have some old copies of Aryan Life, and I'll tell you, when I thumb through it, it does not seem like they have a very high budget.
No, certainly not $300,000. $272, as I mentioned, to Unite the Right. One member. Think one guy who was getting this rally together that they were encouraging to create this rally. They paid $270,000 of donor funds, allegedly. Former National Alliance chairman paid $140,000. KKK members paid $73,000. American Front president and a felon, they paid $19,000. And like their argument here, Dave, is like, oh, well, these were sources. Okay, you can't worry about it. These are sources. We were trying to infiltrate these organizations to find out who was in them so we could expose them. They've been saying they've been doing this for years and years and years and years. But what we're seeing here in this allegation, in the grand jury indictment, is that they were instead encouraging these organizations to create these events that they themselves could then raise more money off of, because they were able to create an enemy, a boogeyman scary enough that people would send them money. And I mean, I've always thought the SPLC is a terrible organization. These are the people that put freaking David Barton on like a terrorist list. David Barton is like he's the most harmless person in the universe, the nicest guy you'd ever meet in your life. And they put him on a terrorist watch list, basically, a hate list of sorts. I've always thought they're a terrible, terrible organization, but this goes farther than I even imagined.
Well, they had a group, I believe it was them or somebody else, but it was like a racist comics list. I could be wrong, might have been somebody else who made it, but it was in the same vein. And my friend calls me and he's like, well, there's a racist comics list. And I'm like, oh, good, so I'm on it. And he's like, no, I'm on it. And it was a friend of mine who in a million years I wouldn't have thought that. I'm like, oh, wait, but I'm on Anthony Cumia's show. I thought I was supposed to be. I'm not on it? How am I not on it? It just seemed, I was just waiting for, it was shocking. So that's what they do, is they kind of just take whoever and they throw it at the wall. But the worst part about this is they're saying, look, we will pay off your double wide, but you have to use the rest of the finances to go out there and scream about how much you hate people. You can't just do it behind your closed, screen door anymore.
Yeah. I mean, because you'd think what their goal would be is to persuade these people to not believe this way, just to hopefully change them so that they're not these terrible racists and, anti-Semites and all these awful things. And instead, they were encouraging the behavior because, again, why do they exist without it? What's the point?
Yeah, they needed to fund. In order to get more funds, they had to fund the enemy so they could prove there was an enemy, and that way they could keep money coming in. I mean, that's the reality. That's how so much of this works. And I guess I'm personally so pissed off about it because of the amount of crap I've had to personally take as a comedian for things I've said as a joke because of organizations like this, convincing people to go out and behave the way that they do. And this is just what they're telling the enemy to go do. This doesn't say what they're doing in-house.
Which could be scary. We should also point out too, and this is important to note, that they put Charlie Kirk's organization and Charlie on a list like this very shortly before before he was killed. I mean, and again, it's important to make sure that the people who actually commit the murder, in this case, Tyler Robinson, right? That's who.
The reason you don't know is because the FBI has now officially spent more time on this than investigating Charlie Kirk's murder.
Yes, that's probably true. But it's important to make sure that the person who fires the gun is the person we hold responsible. But it does not help the situation that we are in right now, with everybody hating each other and everybody threatening violence, particularly on the left, over and over again, to tell people that someone like Charlie Kirk, who was saying very normal conservative things 99.9% of the time, is some horrible threat that is trying to do terrible things to minorities and all these other groups. You create an atmosphere that leads insane people to go down these roads. And the SPLC, this has been their specialty. This has been their specialty, Dave.
Yes, and that's the reality is, look, I didn't agree with everything that Charlie Kirk said. I don't agree with everything that everybody said. But the fact is people are persuaded to do things, and that's where I think there has to be a level of responsibility. I do believe very much, obviously, in freedom of speech. You're allowed to state your opinions, but if they do want to talk about riling people up, there should be some accountability when there's actually they financially are pursuing people to rile them up. I mean, you're paying for people to get the end result of something like a Charlie Kirk assassination. That's the reality. Because more things like that occur, the more money goes into the pockets of these organizations. And when you look at whether it's this or Black Lives Matter or all these other places that we found out were completely fraudulent. I mean, this has people running, hoping they can open up a Leering center. It's just all of this is so completely fake, and to convince a country that was doing, I think, well, or at least I thought well, as far as progress, at least in the sense of accepting other people's race, sexuality, whatever it is, it shows that the call's coming from inside the house, and they're the ones funding it.
It's a great point. And I think too, it's interesting because I think I get nervous as a broadcaster when you have this sort of hop, skip, and a jump between, hey, you said something and someone else did something that was violent and you should be held responsible. So I'm super sensitive to that.
I am too. It's like me blaming Metallica for the West Memphis 3, and they were all innocent, in the end of the day. So I agree with you fully there.
Yeah, and by the way, one of the reasons for that, other than just sanity, I feel like, you shouldn't. People should be held responsible for their own crimes. I think that's really important. And you should be able to say things, even if they're unpopular opinions, without being held responsible for what some nut job does. One of the reasons, though, I'm sensitive on it is because the SPLC and groups like it over and over and over again have accused Glenn Beck and myself and other people at the Blaze of doing this exact thing. Saying, oh gosh, well, you said that Barack Obama was a bad president and he was cracking down on, and then this person also said that, therefore they probably heard it from you, and then they went and did something crazy, so you were held responsible. This is the SPLC's fault. However, in this particular case, I think there's a much more direct line, not to Charlie Kirk. I think that's a similar situation to, there's a layer of separation there. There is a direct link, however, from you paying $270,000 to a guy to hold a rally where a woman is murdered. You intentionally tried to get this rally started. You intentionally trying to inflame this area. And yes, you didn't run the woman over. I get that there is a separation there, but it is more direct than all these other cases because they encourage the actual hatred. They encourage the actual event that led to that particular situation.
That's what I'm saying. You can say, okay, well, they listened to, you can say, okay, the Manson family listened to a Helter Skelter, therefore it's the Beatles' fault. Now, if the Beatles sent Charles Manson a check for $270,000 and told him to go and kill Sharon Tate, in so many words, there might be some level of accountability, or at least told them to go there and cause some kind of an issue, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
there's an element of you're financing the violence. So therefore you have to be somewhat held accountable for it. Because Glenn's saying that he doesn't like a certain president, you're allowed to say that.
yeah.
It's like saying, I don't like a lot of what Trump's doing, and I don't care who has a problem with that. I just don't, and you're allowed to say that too. But there's a difference between that and saying, okay, well, let's all go near the White House. I'm going to fund it all, and let's just cause havoc and just cause people to get riled up, and I'm going to pay for that. Shouldn't I mean, you can't look at something like January 6th, for example, when people just went somewhere and they made it into this bigger thing than it actually was. Nobody financed that. Nobody was behind that. They wanted to pretend like somebody was. They weren't. But then you look at this where you have that kind of similar situation where there was a group mentality and it was being financed by somebody to go and cause a problem, and people died as a result of it. I think they should be held somewhat accountable.
Yeah, and I agree. And you mentioned the January 6th thing, and of course, like, there's been a lot of talk over the years, people, wondering if there were informants, if there were, there was some influence from an outside group, not on the side of Trump, but on the opposite side, trying to stir things up. And to be honest, I generally start from a pretty skeptical position when I see stuff like that, because typically, it's a very human thing, right? When something goes wrong and your side looks bad, you kind of look around and say, well, wait a minute, that doesn't look right, and that doesn't look right, and what's going on? But we're getting more and more information here.
Well, the 500 FBI agents there doesn't look good.
It doesn't look good. Right. And I start from a skeptical position on that, but when you see something like this, where this group, which has been the gold standard of the left for as long as I can remember, who are you supposed to dislike? Ask the Southern Poverty Law Center, they'll tell you. The fact that they were involved at this level, at these events, if these allegations are correct, is, again, it's yet another thing to shake up your faith in our system, Dave. And I say that directly from Washington, D.C.
Well, in making a list, though, you are making a hit list. That's what bothers me. You are putting together a list of names that you want people to go after. Never in my life have I been like Steve Buscemi in Billy Madison and then just crossed the name off a list, put on lipstick, and laid back and listened to records. A list is there because you want to destroy someone. I have never made a list and put it onto a show or a website and said, go after these people. This group has. And that to me is a huge red flag, especially if it's being financed by liberals who think that their money's going to, trying to help end racism, when instead it's going to buy hoods for the Klan.
It's amazing. And to be clear, just for clarity's sake, you have never made a list like that. You have worn lipstick and listened to records, though.
Oh, I did that this morning.
Okay, good.
And I will right when we get off this call.
All right, that sounds like fun. Okay, we have a lot more coming up on today's program. You can, of course, follow us on social media. We'll give you where Dave's going to be at davelandau.com. Get all of his dates coming up as well. It is a great, it's an amazing day, honestly. I don't know that I ever thought we'd have this much evidence that this stuff was happening, but apparently we do. Back in a second. So we've been talking about corruption with the SPLC and their donations to crazy, racist groups like the Klan. And one way I would describe that whole story, Dave, is a discrepancy. There's a bit of a discrepancy between the two stories. You see, one side is saying this, one side saying something just a tad different, and there's a discrepancy between those two things. Very understandable, happens all the time. I bring that up because there's been another discrepancy here.
Well, real quick, I just want to say this. It's kind of like what we were referencing earlier. It would be like blaming Jodie Foster for Reagan's attempted assassination by John Hinckley.
Yes.
And because I wear lipstick and listen to records, I do have John Hinckley's album,
Wow.
I just found. I haven't listened to it yet. It's still in the plastic, but I'm sure it's good. It's called Redemption, and I believe the redemption, I could be wrong, is for trying to murder the president.
I hope so.
But yeah, that is a real John Hinckley record available for anybody who wants to get it. So I
That's amazing.
just wanted to show you that I had that sitting right here.
Well, I'm glad you're funding his new lifestyle outside of prison, Dave.
Yes, look, all good albums.
Yeah, look, if the music's good, I'm sure the Hinckley album is really strong. This is not like, Charlie Manson old school music he made back in the day. This is like a new album by him, right? Like
That's correct. This isn't this isn't the oldies, the stuff that he almost had make it. He spent some time in jail and was like, maybe getting Jodie Foster, who is a lesbian, to fall in love with me. I shouldn't have tried to do that by shooting at Reagan.
Yeah, it's things are so difficult to figure out in the moment.
They are.
So much easier in retrospect. But yeah, that was not a good plan.
Yeah, especially when you're looking at a hot Jodie Foster.
And that's what she's known for. Okay, so that's incredible, David. At some point, I'll have to go through my ridiculous CD collection that I've acquired over the years that has some, no murderers, I don't think, in there, but some very bizarre classics we'll have to go through. You'll appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a murderer in there.
Yeah, that's true. That's probably
or at least you'll produced by one.
So we have a discrepancy with Ilhan Omar. She's got some financial disclosures, and the slightest, I don't even know if you'll detect this. You might, it's tough sometimes to do math without seeing it, like when you're hearing numbers fly around, you might not even be able to tell the discrepancy here. But she says she listed her net worth at up to $30 million. But she's now saying she only has $95,000 in assets. So,
but what about all her stuff?
Yeah, it's interesting. This is she put this down, $30 million. She's saying she's not a millionaire, even though she said herself she has $30 million in assets.
But she's 30 of them.
She's 30 of them. Okay,
yes,
that makes sense. She insisted the initial figures were off base. And an amended filing with her $95,000 is actually the accurate number. Now, remember, Dave, you may or may not be aware of this, but we know of Ilhan Omar first, not because of her incredible exploits as a congresswoman, but because she was in a Maroon 5 video. Which is true. That was actually where she started, was a Maroon 5 dancing girl behind the guy who was on the reality, voice show.
You mean the Jewish gentleman named Adam Levine, who she would want dead?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's interesting because we have both of these scams here, potentially with Omar and Unite the Right involved. Coincidentally, they both hate Jews the same amount.
Wow. Who knew?
Who knew? Incredible.
I mean, I could have... Well, from what I understand, she did wish for $30 million. She also wished to marry her brother. And then her third wish, she was tricked by the genie, who then came out of the bottle, but she kept his hat and wears it all the time. Now, I don't know if these are, in fact, true, but that's just what sources tell me.
Yes, that makes sense. I will say it explains a lot. That I will say.
Yes, we're willing to die for our sources, but this is real news.
Now, Ilhan Omar has had some ties to some questionable individuals, some maybe a little dangerous. We go now to another corruption story. Grandson of mob boss John Gotti sentenced on Long Island for COVID fraud. Now, Some would say that the mob is a dangerous group. I, of course, they don't even exist. I don't even. If they did exist, I'd be a fan of them. They're fantastic, but they don't even exist. It's not even a real thing. But this story is saying that John Gotti's grandson getting 15 months in federal prison. Why? Because he pleaded guilty to lying on applications for COVID relief and illegally receiving about $1 million in loans.
Yeah, I think my problem with this is I think it would be more of the incompetence, just because I don't think John Gotti would be thrilled that a relative of his got indicted for fraud in a blue state. That's really difficult to do when you think about it. But also, if we're going to charge him, we can do Fauci now, right?
Oh, I think so, right? This is sure. No, wait, he got pardoned. Biden pardoned him.
Oh, that's right.
And his whole family. Yeah.
That's weird. So we're going to go after the Gottis, who, by the way, if they really existed and were really a horrible criminal entity, they wouldn't have had a reality show called Growing Up Gotti.
Yeah. It's usually not the... Although I will say the criminal element inside the reality show community is just per capita extraordinarily high.
Oh, yeah. Who's that guy who went to prison? He's the effeminate Southern one that sounds like this.
Oh, yeah. That wasn't... Yeah, I wasn't even thinking of him, too. There was another... My wife was watching one of these shows, and it was so bad that both the husband and wife got convicted, and they would switch off doing jail time just so one of them could be on the reality show, I guess. I don't know. I guess maybe and also parent the kids. But
that was I believe that was Housewives of New Jersey, wasn't it?
Probably.
They both. Yeah, I guess that would only be the exact stereotype that we're looking for. And then the other guy, the biggest fraud he committed, I guess, was pretending that he didn't want to be in jail. He's like, oh, it was horrible. Surrounded in men, in the showers every day. I hated every minute of it. He's probably the one that narked on himself just to get taken out. Yeah, I guess there are a lot of criminals. I guess I'm just sad that this is the closest thing we have to the mob, who I feel every city ran better with a mob. Every city.
I can tell you this. I don't have any direct experience with the mob. Again, I don't even believe they exist. And if they did, they'd be wonderful. A great big fan. I will say, did grow up in Connecticut. I did grow up near some of the greatest pizza restaurants in America and in the world in New Haven. And several of them are on one street, I think it's Worcester Street, allegedly, that there's a bunch of these great pizza places. And I will say, you'd think it could be maybe even in a dangerous area of town. There are areas around that area that are very dangerous. You could walk down that road at 3 a.m. with your toddlers and face absolutely no danger whatsoever. Everything was clean. There was no litter. There was no violence. There was no crime. There was just great freaking pizza.
Yes, I had a cousin who lived in Bensonhurst, Brooklyn, and I'll tell you, there's parts of Brooklyn you don't want to be in. Bensonhurst was never a problem.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, you had gambling debts to the people that ran that town. It was a pretty safe neighborhood to be around.
Yeah, as long as you can kind of stop, not do specific things that get you hanging from a bridge, everything else works out wonderfully. Now, again, I wouldn't exactly advocate for mob leadership of cities. I will say, though, there is a certain, they always say that like, oh, well, they have a code. There's like a certain thing, like there's a certain stability. It's almost like when we have like a Middle Eastern country and there are like, dictators there. And I'm totally obviously against that. But there, compared to what we sometimes see after the dictator, it feels a lot more orderly, at least as an outsider.
It does. Well, one time when I was on Crowder, I asked Giuliani who was a better leader, like who was really more who was more dangerous to the city, I think it was something along those lines, Andrew Cuomo or John Gotti. And it made him laugh very hard, but it was almost difficult for him to say Andrew Cuomo. And I think he was like, well, I mean, as far as organized, you'd have to say Gotti's probably, but but I think that was off camera, but it made him laugh pretty. I thought it was just funny because he was such a good, he was such a good mayor that people kind of just crap all over now. He was hosting SNL and people really had this reverence for him. And now they look at him like he's some kind of joke. And Meanwhile, look who's in New York, Mamdani, which is like Omar, which is like, I mean, it's all just, this is all such insane. And the fact that we're even talking about any of this is absolute insanity, the way that everything has crumbled in the last 25 years.
Oh, it really is. I mean, amazing that you go from Giuliani as like America's mayor, 9/11. 25 years later, you have Mamdani as the mayor, and supposedly, Giuliani's like, we're told he's a joke now, and it's like, well, you cannot take away everything that guy accomplished, which was serious. And the mob stuff is a legitimately big part of that. I mean, he was incredibly brave to take on all of those families if they existed, Dave.
If they did. And I will say that was probably the thing he shouldn't have done. Everything else was fine. But now we look at New York without a mob, and I think we owe those various families, if they were to exist, quite an apology.
All right, we need to take a break. I want to come back on the other side. We have some breaking news in the crime world, Dave, and it has to do with whether Madonna has clothing or not. We'll get to that next. And now a story about Madonna without clothing. Hopefully you're still here. Probably not. Someone stole...
If this was 89, people would be excited.
Yes, 89 was a good year. There's a bunch of good years there. And then it's gone awry. And look, Dave, gravity always wins, right? Like aging comes for all of us. We're all there. But I don't think that's what it is with Madonna. It's something different.
That's not a natural aging. That's the devil coming for the pound of flesh. Whatever she sold to become a star has been fully getting siphoned from her for the last 15 years.
I feel like she's actually on the wrong side of the deal now. I feel like she's paid it off. She's paid the interest, and they just keep holding her hostage.
It's the worst loan anyone's ever taken out.
It is the Madonna to police. This is from TMZ. Someone stole my clothes at Coachella. Now, I don't know why you needed an ellipsis between clothes and at Coachella per se. Like, I don't know why. That could have just been a normal. I have some questions about TMZ's coverage of this incident, if I may, Dave. But she wrote a post on Instagram saying she's had a great time. I guess she was hanging out with Sabrina Carpenter. I didn't follow this all that closely, but she says the full circle moment hit different when I realized that vintage pieces that I wore went missing. My costume that was pulled from my personal archives, jacket, corset, dress, and all other garments. These aren't just clothes, they're part of my history. She wanted to make sure police knew about it, and she filed a report. Also is pleading to her followers to, I guess, help her if they stole them. I don't know exactly what's happening.
From what I understand is a group of buzzards thought she was dead, and they were the ones that actually did pick the clothes off while she was sleeping.
Okay. I mean, when you get into buzzard-related crime, it's a serious problem, especially at Coachella.
Big time. A lot of people appear dead when they're not at Coachella, and that's just the ones modeling for their boyfriends holding the camera. I hate all those people. Sorry. Anyway, go on.
It's such a frustrating. I will say the TMZ article ends this way, and I just don't understand it. The material girl is offering a reward for the safe return of her garments. It was like the second song she put out in like 1982. Why is she still referred to this way? It drives me insane. What do you mean, the material girl? It's the laziest thing in the world.
Also, now, we're living in a materialistic time called the 80s.
Right.
It's not quite the same now. There's not really a lot of, Gordon Gekko isn't something to aspire to. Even though there are people doing a lot of the sort of Christian Bale and American Psycho thing, not just governors in California, but there are people that do the gym tan,
Right. The looks maxing.
Yeah.
How about that reference? Huh?
Yeah, that's I like that. You got it.
I pulled it out as if I'd said it before.
Yep.
Not just read it in articles.
It's hard to read, but to say it hurts it worse.
It does. I promise I won't say frame mogging at any point in normal conversation, whatever that is.
Good God.
They
You
also
still
though,
have your Aryan subscription, don't you? You're still getting those magazines.
sometimes they just send them to you, Dave. Even after the subscription runs out, they just try to get you back into it. Madonna now says the cops, or the story from TMZ, the follow-up, is that the cops don't even believe her. They don't even believe that her stuff was stolen. Because they're like, really, I think people want you to have more clothing on. Why would they steal your clothing? It doesn't make any sense.
This is clearly a senior moment from this old woman. She's who?
It's so true. I will say this too. One brief thing before we take another break. But there is a way to do this, right? Like if you start off as the sexy young starlet, and you go through your life, then you can age gracefully. Like there's a way to do that. Like there's a time where like it felt like at one point she was going to go down this road of like, you know, nice gowns, and she would be singing nice songs and like could be a respectable, but she just decided, no, I'm just going to be 24 forever. Like she just decided never to leave that era, and I don't think it's worked out particularly well.
No, she's known for Papa Don't Preach and Like a Virgin, and boy, she does not look like a virgin.
No.
She looks like she's been in a hotel handcuffed to a radiator, chain smoking dong for the last 20 years. She looks horrific.
I don't know what else to even say after that.
But like a trafficked virgin at one time. Like the first 5 Johns you convinced it was their first. And then that was 58 years ago.
It's not too convincing anymore. That's why, by the way, they say material girl and not like a virgin when they refer to her.
There's no way they're gonna pull that one out. They're like, we can't even pretend. They're just laughing too hard when they're writing the article. We're like, all right, guys, come on.
All right, come on. All right, we're gonna run out of time before this episode. Let me just take a quick break. Back in a second. Thank you so much to the Conservative Partnership Institute for hosting us here in DC, and of course to Dave's Basement for hosting him. Stu and Dave is the code at blazetv.com/Stu and Dave. You can save $20 off your annual subscription to Blaze TV. We really encourage you to do that. It's a great community, and it's honestly a lot of really funny and interesting people in there that make us laugh, at least. Let's go to a few of the comments. Jared Plaster writes, Stu, this is a good comment right after the last segment. Stu, we pray you both go off track. That is the best. Stop trying to have structure. I don't know if that's a path to a success for the show. It is a good path, though, for us both getting fired for cause, Dave. So
that is true. It is definitely good legal reasons to be let go. So, and I think people enjoy watching that more.
Yeah, they do enjoy watching it until the entire show explodes, and then and then they don't watch any of it anymore. Fabio writes, I don't know if it's the Fabio, but he says, I hope so.
Is he getting hit with a goose?
I don't know. That did happen. That's a real thing.
Yes, it did. On a roller coaster.
Yes, that's right. These shows have been great, but how come there's no Eric Swalwell? I thought this show was mostly about him. That's a fair assumption, honestly, from our first week or two.
That's true. I'm glad they were able to bring him up so we could bring him up on this episode.
That's right. Now we've hit our quota. This is a good point from Lisa Tapley. Dana Carvey parodied Biden pretty good on SNL a few times. They didn't go as hard on him as they did on Trump, but it was pretty funny. I actually really did like Dana Carvey's take on Biden.
I did too. I think his take on every president was always the most successful. I think really any impression that he did, I absolutely adored. But yeah, that is true. They did use him, and I did forget about that.
Yeah. Adam writes, ahoy, ahoy, hoy. I love y'all's show now with a new large comedic relief in the news. It helps digest the stupidity of this world. Thank you very much. Thick Biscuit Boy, Mr. Show is awesome. Happy to see fellow fans. Yes, that's true.
There you go.
Yeah, a lot of, I think there's still a lot of fans out there about that. By the way, also fans of yours, Dave, going to be seeing you across the country. Can you give a couple of your dates here?
Yes, you can see me in 2 weeks at, where is it? It didn't pop up.
The Soul Theater.
Yeah, there you go.
Soul Theater, Boca Raton on May 1st and 2nd. Soul Joel's May 9th, May 15th in Indiana, Mad Hatter Event Center. All this is, by the way, up at davelandau.com, so you can check it out there.
That's right. That's what I should have said. And you are in D.C. for something special.
Yeah, the kind of a soft launch of PredictableShow.com. Go to YouTube.com, search for Predictable Show. We'll see you tomorrow.